Broadcasting live from Martin Short's flashback ponytail, this is Pop Culture Reference, your one-stop reference for all things pop culture. I'm one of your hosts, Seamus Connolly.
And I'm your other host, Garrett Strother.
They pulled the rug out from under us, or we're just foolish and we assumed way too much. God only knows, but...
Unfortunately, Shang-Chi was pulled, or maybe never was going to be, but we're pretty sure was pulled from premium access on Disney Plus, likely following the Scarlett Johansson / Emily Blunt / The Rock lawsuits that have to do with Disney Plus premium access. So, while it was our original intention to cover Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings this week for the show, we have decided to sidestep that as we are not comfortable going to the movie theaters at this juncture. So, this week we will be covering the new Hulu original series, Only Murders in the Building, starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. We watched the first 3 episodes and we'll be discussing them today.
Kind of an audible play here, but I don't think this is going to be a bad switch up at all. But first, why don't we get into a little bit of the news we have this week?
A very sad passing of a legend. Ed Asner has passed away, known for roles on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Carl Fredricksen from the Pixar film Up. My heart goes out to him as Santa Claus in Elf.
Of course.
One of the greats, truly.
91 years old, God bless him. He had a long and incredibly rich career, and while I definitely don't have the biggest personal connection to Ed Asner, movies like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, absolutely incredible. And like you said, Elf, classic role in what seems like a movie that came out 1,000 years ago, but a passing of a legend for sure.
And politically active, very politically active. Racial equality and LGBT rights and stuff.
Oh, good man.
So I guess I'll be checking out the new Up series on Disney Plus. Doug Days.
Doug Days, okay.
Because he's reprising his role for...
Did he?
Yeah, he reprised his role for that, so...
No kidding. All right, yeah, that'll definitely be worth checking out. I'm going to do that too.
Wonderful. Speaking of reprising roles, this is an interesting transition that I've forced us into. The Expendables 4 is officially happening. It's coming. Sly is back. Jason Statham is back. Megan Fox is coming this time. It's gonna be a great time.
Now, what is your relationship with the films that are the first 3 Expendables?
I saw the Expendables 3 in high school for the newspaper, and that is my only exposure to the Expendables.
I think we might need to have a little triple feature night, man, because they are some of the stupidest and most entertaining action movies that I've ever seen in my whole life. They're so ridiculous, but it's also that level of, like, you can't always tell if Sly Stallone is, like, taking it as seriously as maybe he is. It's a cartoon of an action series, truly.
There's another movie announcement, though, that I am much more excited for, Seamus. Not that I'm not. I think you and I will have a blast watching The Expendables. But
oh, sure.
The Rocketeer is getting a sequel after all this time. The Rocketeer 2 is being developed for Disney Plus, and it will follow a Tuskegee Airman during World War II that takes up the Rocketeer mantle, which sounds like a grand old time to me.
Yeah, that sounds 100% kick-ass, and I am more of a new Rocketeer fan than you are, maybe, but I think that there's no better time to bring the Rocketeer back, you know? I know they were doing that kids animated series that was in the canon of the world. I wonder if that will tie in at all to this movie. But there's been a lot of perfection of good superhero CG and like special effects that's really going to elevate this to have a little bit more Rocketeer in it, maybe, than the original, which I'm looking forward to.
I mean, the original Rocketeer is all about a vibe, right? It's going for this deco punk aesthetic that I hope they maintain for this new one. I'm trying to think about who I want to see direct this. I'm assuming it'll probably be a black director. Would make sense if we're doing a
yeah, probably. I mean, in the first one, he doesn't really have any personal struggles like you would find in a, like, segregated platoon of the Air Force. Like, that's a way deeper kind of character to delve into. Like, it's gonna elevate the Rocketeer, I think, to a crazy level.
I think so. Plus the idea of, like, do people even know he's black under that rudder helmet, you know?
Oh, interesting.
That could be an interesting thing to play with. You know, I'm thinking about it. Give it to Regina King. I really liked One Night in Miami, and she's kind of dabbled in those worlds before.
Playing with, like, a super specific style, too. I'm sure in her hands she could, like, really do some justice to that style you were just talking about a little bit ago. And
you think about One Night in Miami, right? And it's got these themes of, like, duty, patriotism, heroism, what does it mean to be a role model? All of these things that I think would probably play into the premise of this new Rocketeer film.
I think, hell yeah, that would be great.
It'll be the perfect excuse for us to recover the Rocketeer without
Yes.
terrible audio.
Oh, the infamous episode of our show that I don't even know the number of. It was so early.
It's also the Mandalorian season 1 finale. So,
I think if we recover the Rocketeer, I think we should recover the season 1 finale of The Mandalorian.
I think that would be great, honestly.
Just a full, true retrospective on that terribly unlistenable episode.
But we've got one final piece of news. The Netflix original film Red Notice has a trailer, and this is the kind of film that I would be super into if it had a completely different cast. But
I was gonna say,
like, the 3 actors who I am the most annoyed with in Hollywood, probably the actors who I want to see less of, who I just keep seeing more of. Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot.
Just a concentrated ball of winks and smirks that you don't care about, you don't want to see, and they're all doing it to each other for the whole movie, for the whole trailer at least.
It feels like that Hobbs and Shaw problem to me, that there's no straight man in this. There's no person who's taking this seriously. It's all, like you said, it's all winks. I find Ryan Reynolds' shtick incredibly grating. After our Fast and the Furious marathon, I find The Rock's shtick incredibly grating. And Gal Gadot is good sometimes, but I feel like she's going to be playing too much in that winky wink world.
Yeah,
and not, like, if she's with a grounded character and a silly character, I think that like, you look at Zack Snyder's Justice League cinema, and you've got her with the insufferable Ezra Miller Flash and the really, really compelling and cool Ray Fisher Cyborg.
Yeah.
And that works. That dynamic is compelling. And that's not going to be this.
No, absolutely not. They're just, I mean, it is like a Fast and the Furious verse reunion, and if it was those just random ass characters from that universe, I would maybe be compelled enough to watch it in some way, but
yeah, but did that help for Hobbs and Shaw?
You know, yeah, but that's only because we kept mistaking things to be happening that were not. So if I ever, for some reason, watch this movie, I will probably be annoyed from start to finish.
You mean when we cover it for the podcast, probably?
No. Oh, when another thing gets pulled from a streaming service and we have to make a flash decision.
I'm not excited about this movie, Seamus. I'm just
Me
not.
neither, man. This is one of those one-a-week Netflix movies, I think, that's just gonna be up there forever, and I'll one day mistake it for The Hitman's Bodyguard in, like, 5 years or so.
A movie I actually would like to see. So
it's not bad. I didn't see the new one. I know that came out.
I like Sam Jackson. Like, Sam Jackson.
Yeah, Sam Jackson.
Ryan Reynolds enough.
That's why that movie is, like, kind of okay. Let's get on to the main segment, man. What do you say?
Yeah. Only Murders in the Building. Give me a little cute scarf and a pea coat.
Ooh. Like, I'm already pretty into this show. Like, I will say, I hope this definitely pays off.
Have we started talking? Is this the main segment? Or
yeah, I don't know.
Still the transition to.
We kind of just started going on it. I don't know. Do you want to do an official one?
Today's main segment is going to be Only Murders in the Building, the new Hulu original series starring Selena Gomez, Martin Short, and Steve Martin, it's going to be the first 3 episodes. We'll give our spoiler-free thoughts up top, and then we'll maybe get into some of our speculation about what's coming later in the series.
Like we were saying before, this was a little bit of a last-minute switchover, but I really, really enjoyed the first 3 episodes that are out now. It's, again, a weekly release, like Disney has been dabbling with more recently. I love Martin Short and everything he's ever in, so it's great to see him again, and him with Steve Martin is obviously electric, because they can bounce off of each other like nothing.
And Steve Martin is also, like, producing and writing this series, which it definitely has Steve Martin touch.
Absolutely, oh yeah. Just like that. Oh, God. Even just the... Oh, no, sorry, spoiler talk. I was going to talk about that very first opening part.
Tonally, Steve Martin is really good at lowbrow, highbrow humor.
Sure, yeah.
Like that, you're in this elevated, stylistically world, right? Where you've got the production design is really exact and really interesting, as is the costume design.
Oh, yeah.
And all these characters seem like really smart and compelling, but at the same time, the humor is just that they're morons.
Yeah, at least 2 out of the 3, which is...
And it's just kind of like sophisticated, dumb humor.
Yeah, it's like the elegance of this building and the nature of all these, like, kind of wild problems that all these characters are having individually, but then Martin Short just eats dip all the time, too, and you're just like, this is perfect.
It's nice to see Steve Martin back on screen. I just don't know the last time I saw him in anything.
I feel like the last time I saw him was on literally Oh Hello, the Netflix recorded Oh Hello. He was the special guest in the audience, I think.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is also hilarious because it seems like a lot of this is very much inspired by those characters, I would say, or at least influenced in some way.
But also, how much are those characters influenced themselves by Martin Short and Steve Martin specifically?
Oh, like, yeah, I'm sure, like, it's Ouroboros, just a snake eating its own tail of, like, peak comedy.
But I think literally the last thing I saw Steve Martin in other than that was The Big Year, which was 10 years ago, the bird-watching movie.
Big Year? I don't even know that movie, dude.
That's a good movie. I haven't seen it in 10 years, but Jack Black, Owen Wilson, and Steve Martin are competitive bird watchers.
Oh, that sounds hilarious and actually a little bit familiar, so maybe if I saw like a trailer I would recognize it, but that sounds
good.
Delightful.
Yeah.
But this new show, back to this one, co-star Selena Gomez kind of rounding out this little trio, and, I don't think she's doing a bad job either. I think maybe I just want her character to like Steve Martin more. I don't know, but...
Yeah, I think you and I are coming from different points on this, because I think I'm definitely annoyed with her, but I'm actually annoyed with the character.
Yeah.
I think it's a mark of good writing. Where I think you're more like, I don't know if Selena Gomez is doing as good a job in this.
Yeah, I kind of had that thought when we were watching it together yesterday, and she is kind of sticking to this annoyed, young person thing with, like, the 2 most friendly, wacky old men on the planet, but, first 3 episodes, they're gonna get a lot closer, I imagine, than what we see now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's all part of the arc. And she's kind of doing Elaine a little bit from Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. You were talking about that yesterday too. I think that you're not wrong.
Which is funny. I think that's funny. And she's holding her own timing-wise with these 2, legendary comedians, truly legendary comedians. So that in itself is impressive. There's a lot of 30 Rock in this show, but, like, Don Scardino, who was a director of, like, most of the episodes of 30 Rock, is a director on this series as well.
Okay, that makes complete sense.
I don't think Selena Gomez was on 30 Rock, but certainly Martin Short and Steve Martin were.
Definitely Steve Martin was. Was Martin Short on 30 Rock?
Now I need to check.
He must have been.
He was not on 30 Rock.
I could swear to it was like a one-off stupid character, but this is just another live example of the Mandela effect.
But he's also a one-off stupid character on Arrested Development. He's a one-off stupid character on How I Met Your Mother. On Kimmy Schmidt, which is in the 30 Rock universe.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what we're thinking of.
I think that's what we're thinking of.
Okay, all right. Fair enough, Martin Short. These first 3 episodes, I think, were pretty impressive for a show that I definitely knew nothing about going in. I'm definitely compelled to keep watching this show moving forward, week to week. I think it would be fun to throw on every week, and I'm hoping that the mysteries that they're setting up here are going to be as satisfying as a lot of the jokes are so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, so far, a more compelling comedy than it is a mystery, but a lot of the reveals that have been coming I know you and I were pretty jazzed about them at the end of each episode, being like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's twists that I genuinely didn't see coming, and maybe that is because I'm distracted by just the humor of it all, but it's definitely something special, that good middle ground between the mystery and the comedy.
Maybe it's also because you and I are so delighted by the podcast in-jokes.
Yeah. Oh man, should we jump into it here? Are we getting into it? Because
let's talk spoilers, and that way we can talk conjecture about the mysteries and stuff, because I feel like you should go into this, like, you shouldn't really know too much about this series when you go in, I think, because
oh yeah,
they are setting up, like any good mystery, they're setting up stuff from moment one.
Oh, for sure. It's all gonna come together in the end. It's gonna be something real clever. I can feel it. Go into it knowing as little as possible.
But let's talk, with spoilers involved, and how Martin Short and Steve Martin are us recording our podcast while they do their own true crime podcast.
I just need like a melodica or something to play into the microphone, and I'll really just, I'm in the closet. I'm obsessed with getting a sponsor, sandwich shop or otherwise.
Oh, if we could get a sandwich shop sponsor, we'd be rolling.
Dude, that
Absolutely.
bodega down the street from me on Prospect, I'm gonna bombard them with emails.
That's true. Yeah, if Nathan Lane owns the bodega.
Oh, it was so good to see Nathan Lane in these. He's I hope he sticks around for at least a good while. I have a feeling he's probably gonna get murdered.
I think his deaf son is going to play some kind of role in the ultimate payoff of the mystery. I think that's not that it's not great to have deaf representation on screen, but I think that's like too specific a setup to not have a payoff later.
Yeah, it's going to be something like somebody who you didn't expect, like knows sign language or something, or like he sees something, but I don't know. You're right. It is too specific of a character choice in there to just have that be nothing important later, especially for something like a murder mystery contained in a single apartment building, There's already like cat paws and blood and strange hoodies and
frozen cat legs, if you will.
That was such a funny bit. We were both like, because it's like a silly looking frozen cat, but that was a bit that really made us both gasp and laugh quite hard.
Yeah, like it was funny, but at what cost, Like,
that cat's leg.
Yeah, apparently.
That guy from The Good Place is passing out and all that. I think he does pretty well in this too. I mean, I don't know if we'll see much of him again.
Yeah.
I think we'll see
early. More Jonathan from 30 Rock, probably, who knows about Steve Martin's missing wife.
Yeah, oh man, I wonder what that is. Are they going to do it like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's implied that he's murdered his wife for a laugh? Or are they going to, like, she is alive somewhere? I mean, I imagine they're going to get somebody pretty big to play his wife whenever that does get revealed.
And the thing I admire about this show so far is that there's levity and it's a comedy, but for the most part, it takes its character stuff seriously. It's not, I don't think they would play off Steve Martin's wife's disappearance or death as a joke. If anything, you and I were talking about how there was a weird pacing thing.
Oh yeah, in the first episode?
In the first episode where we get all three of their tragic backstories at the same time. But
Yeah.
structurally, after the end of the first episode, I do feel a little bit better about that because it turns out that Selena Gomez and Steve Martin are both giving half-truths to each other.
Mm. And I mean, Martin Short, to be fair, is making it as obvious as possible that he is the brokest man in their building, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling that there are more mysteries with Mr. Martin Short than we're getting so far, even though they're kind of maybe setting those mysteries up a little uneven, but I guess we need a mid-season Martin Short mystery.
I feel like we're probably going to have some red herring plot lines that end up telling us more about our main characters before we actually get to solve the mystery. You know, Jonathan from 30 Rock, whose name I should know and I just don't.
He's in a lot of stuff.
Could end up informing more of, you know, Steve Martin's character than necessarily filling out the mystery.
Mm.
Do you have a line on who the murderer is? Do you have any ideas, Seamus?
Well, I think it would be a lot of fun if they like ended the series with like a Godfather-esque zoom out smirk on Martin Short's face and he like murdered Tim Kono to get a podcast going to get money, but I don't know if they would do that. I feel like it's going to be probably a character we haven't met yet.
Maybe.
I think there's so many of these neighbors that they are going to like do an episode on each pretty much, I think.
And a lot of the series so far has been building Selena Gomez's backstory with the character who was Murder Tim.
Right.
I feel like that's probably not going to ultimately have anything to do with his murder, or very indirectly have to do with his murder, because I think that's more informing Selena Gomez's investment. Almost like a noir, right?
Sure, yeah.
There are certainly noir elements to this series, you know, being a murder mystery, being in New York City, you know.
Of course.
I'm very curious about how that's going to play out. I think Nathan Lane is a possible suspect because I think they're putting him in the building, but they're not putting him in a position where he's under suspicion at all from our main characters.
Yeah, maybe that is it. I don't know. Like, he's not on, like, the building board. He's not the landlord. He just kind of lives there. He's the neighbor of the, you know, Martin Short annoys him for money to produce his stuff. And, yeah, I feel like maybe it's a little too easygoing that he agreed to sponsor the podcast. And he's kind of going along with stuff pretty easily for having kicked Martin Short out of his apartment the first time. That stuff with his son would probably come more into play there.
Totally.
We get a lot of weird stuff about Tim Kono, the hollowed out books full of what looks like maybe stolen jewelry.
Well, that would be in line with what we know of his character from before.
Right, like when he was younger, he would break into everybody's houses and stuff, but
and that there
know.
was, you know, there are multiple murders in this story. Selena Gomez's old friend and Tim Kono's old friend was killed.
And we still have the other friend who's recently out of prison, who's going to definitely be in the next episode or two that shake things up and maybe spill Selena Gomez's lies in front of Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Yeah. I feel like if anything, Martin Short specifically is probably going to be excited that she knows more for the podcast.
Oh, sure, yeah. I do like his very, very transparent motivations for all of this is just like, let's ramp up. Oh, there's a second murder in the park. You want to go cover a second podcast? Yeah, it's very fun.
Amy Ryan from The Office she's in the opening credits, but she's only been in one scene so far.
Oh, yeah, that's right, just in that elevator scene.
So, very possible that I'm assuming she's going to have a much bigger role.
And I mean, I can only pray that Sting is a major part of the rest of this season, because that was one of the funniest stingers, if you will, at the end of that episode.
Oh, Seamus, you clever boy.
That is, because, yeah, they make, like, Sting like a total jerk. He lives in the building. That "don't stand so close to me" was haunting as they ended that.
He hates dogs.
Including his own dog.
Including his own dog.
But yeah, I don't know if that'll actually go anywhere or if that was just. Oh, I either hope Sting gets murdered or he is the murderer, because either one is
It
very,
would
very
be
funny.
very funny if Sting got murdered.
Because yeah, that's his out. That's his hard out from this show. Because I don't know if he wants to just be the star of the show, and it would also be just like a hilarious plot device to make things like a lot more ramped up.
But I feel like regardless, there's going to be a payoff with him. They spent so much time in the third episode establishing him. And
Yeah, that was
ending it
truly
with him.
the last thing we see is him like staring dead into the camera, singing. I do very much enjoy that Martin Short fantasy of like casting who the murderer is. I think that's pretty fun, and we'll probably see that some more as the season goes.
Again, this sense of heightened reality
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
series. I agree with you. I'm really enjoying the staging of it. It feels really fresh. It feels really modern, but also kind of classic at the same time, which is, I think, definitely what they're going for.
Oh yeah.
Steve Martin starts out this series with making really weird jokes about a fan's father who's in hospice.
Oh, oh my god. What a very unexpected and funny opening with that. Good god. That sets the tone for just like a morbid and very droll show.
I love shows where rich people are just buffoons.
Yeah, I mean that's really what this is.
Tina Fey's in the show. She's a podcaster.
She's the podcasting. I forget what the name of their show is. The Ohio one.
Oklahoma. Something is bad in Oklahoma or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Something's
Yeah, that was a
wrong in
fun
Oklahoma.
surprise. We're getting a few really fun cameos in this show so far. I'm excited to see who else they can pull out here. I mean, it's produced by such big names. I'm sure they've got a lot of fun friends that would be willing to do just like a one-off scene.
Totally.
I definitely wasn't expecting the level of like gore effects as we actually got in this show. It was pretty gnarly stuff when they show Tim Kono's head and when they do the weird hallucination of Selena Gomez talking to his like open side of his head.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool. They're going a little more adult with this kind of show. Lots of swear words and plenty of gore that you couldn't put on, regular TV. So it's fun to see.
Especially when good Disney streaming service, Seamus.
Hey man, that's why they put it on Hulu.
20th Century Studios.
Oh yeah, 20th Century Studios. That is
sad.
definitely weird to see now, but I mean,
Yeah.
hey, they're doing good work. This show's fun.
We could have covered that new John Cena movie. You know what I'm talking about? The wedding movie?
Yeah, I think I do. I think we were seeing trailers for it yesterday. I don't know what else to say about these first 3 episodes, really, besides that they were just like genuinely compelling, and this mystery has got me pretty hooked from where we're at now.
Totally.
And I definitely suspect Martin Short is eviler than his sad character is making it seem so far.
Oh, I don't want Martin Short to be a bad guy.
Nah, man, I'm into it. It's like that one Barbie movie where he played Preminger. He's the best bad guy.
What?
It's like Barbie Swan Princess or something, and he is the main bad guy of that insane straight to DVD early 2000s Barbie movie. It's haunting.
You know he got that paycheck, so...
That's what it is. I mean, Kelsey Grammer did one of those.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer will do anything.
He likes to work. The man likes to work.
He does, it's true.
But Martin Short more just does a high-pitched little shriek, and that's all you need.
He's like, what if I came on and I was the weirdest out-of-place character in the series?
Oh, that's in his contract.
But yeah, I recommend this show. Certainly, I'm assuming if you've listened to the spoiler part of it that you are already watching.
Yeah, I would say this is definitely worth keeping up to week. Just the mystery of it is very fun. I recommend it too. I think both of our stamps of approval are on this. It was like we keep saying, it was more of a spontaneous thing, but an absolute pleasant surprise.
Definitely. I'm really glad we did this. And I'm excited to talk about Shang-Chi someday.
Yeah, we'll get to it at one point. 45-day theatrical window, right?
Yes, which is good. That's a new precedent that we have some discussion about, but that'll be a larger conversation another time.
Yeah.
But should
But,
we move on to our pop culture reference?
oh, I was about to say the same thing. Let's do it.
How cute.
This week's pop culture reference is the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is a colloquialism for when a large group of people experience a psychological effect known as false memory. The phenomenon was labeled the Mandela effect in 2010 by self-proclaimed paranormal consultant named Fiona Broom. Broom and many others all had the same false memory that South African anti-apartheid leader Nelson Mandela had died while imprisoned in the 80s. Well, in reality, he went on to become the president of South Africa and passed away in 2013. Famous examples of the Mandela effect also include the existence of a 90s Sinbad-led genie film called Shazam, the Fruit of the Loom logo having a cornucopia behind it, and the children's characters the Berenstain Bears being the Berenstein Bears.
Darth Vader's famous reveal of his paternal relationship to Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back is very often misremembered as Luke, I am your father, instead of the correct line, no, I am your father. This effect is so widespread that some people cite it as possible evidence of multiversal transference or government brainwashing, among other conspiracies. Many of these examples are easily justifiable, however. Sinbad's Shazam is likely people misremembering the 90s children's film Kazam, which starred Shaquille O'Neal as a genie. The Berenstain Bears are also likely just confabulating to conform to the more common name spelling of Steen. We had our own personal brush with the Mandela effect this week, of course, as you and I, people all over social media, and as we confirmed yesterday, my father, were all under the impression that Shang-Chi was coming to Disney Plus Premier Access and having even remembered seeing trailers saying as much. I have been unable to find whether or not there were trailers in circulation that said that, before the whole ScarJo lawsuit happened, but
Yeah, that was definitely a double take moment when I was like riding the elevator up to meet you to watch Shang-Chi and you hit me with that. It was truly, I thought I was going crazy. I swear I saw Reddit ads with Disney Plus on it. I swear I saw bus ads with Disney Plus on it. It's very disorienting.
yeah, it's a shame, but we figured it out, didn't we, Seamus?
Oh yeah, we still got a great topical main segment this week, but yeah, it's definitely a strange phenomenon. I personally was like the Berenstein Bears was something that I would have bet my life on at one point, I think, before I became more aware of the Mandela effect, but I don't think I could ever mistake the absolute cinematic classic of Shaquille O'Neal's Kazam. Like that's too much.
I am definitely a person that thought the cornucopias behind the Fruit of the Loom. It drives me crazy. I don't know.
Oh, that I swear to God, I've seen tags and shirts like that. That one hurts my brain a little bit.
Maybe there's some other logo I'm thinking of, but I'm pretty sure it's the Fruit of the Loom. Like, if you asked me to draw the Fruit of the Loom logo, I would draw it with a cornucopia.
Yeah, like, definitely. I'm almost surprised they didn't like play with that kind of stuff in like a Loki or something like that. They did kind of some of that weird, fun time travel stuff, but
they did Polybius.
No, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking of too.
Which
It's a similar vein.
You don't have to copyright infringe for Polybius, Seamus. You don't have to license the Fruit of the Loom logo.
Oh, true.
Should we move on to Save the Rec Center?
Yeah, I think it's time.
Now it's time to Save the Rec Center, where we bring you our weekly recommendations. Seamus, what do you got this week?
Well, for the first time in a long time, I dabbled back again into the Studio Ghibli pool here. And the only other movie I had ever seen from that collection was Spirited Away, obvious classic. But this week, I just watched Howl's Moving Castle for the first time. And I gotta say, man, it was spectacular. It blew me out of the water. Every single frame of that movie is like the most crisp and clean animation I've seen in a long, long time. And maybe that's just because of how HBO Max now has those very exclusive HD streaming rights to all of these movies, but it was just an absolute treat to watch. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's a very polite English hat maker woman gets cursed by a witch and is turned into an old woman, and she falls in love with a Birdman who lives in a castle with legs, and it's just absolutely fantastic.
I'm a big Ghibli fan. I've not seen Howl's Moving
Ghibli, not
Castle.
Ghibli.
What'd you say?
I think I mispronounced it Ghibli. I'm never sure on
It's
which
both.
one it is.
I think it's.
Oh.
I've heard it both ways, so I don't know
Okay,
which
okay.
it is, Seamus.
Okay, gotcha.
So don't take that as me like passive aggressively correcting you.
Me, yeah, okay.
But I like their films, and I would like to see Howl's Moving Castle. I'd like to check that one out.
Oh yeah, if you know, kind of the vibe of that studio in general, you know that it's just like, fantastical. There's a girl that'll like form a bond with a magical guy, and it'll look beautiful. Billy Crystal's in it, and so is Christian Bale, and that was two huge surprises that I was not expecting.
So you went dubbed then.
Oh yeah. I guess I didn't even give it a second thought. It was still absolutely wonderful.
Well, they spend so much money on the American dubs for those films. I think
Yeah.
those are one of like that and like Cowboy Bebop are some of the few examples of times when they do spend a lot of effort and forethought into putting the English dub in, and they hire, really compelling good actors to take those roles because they know that Western audiences often it's going to be a lot easier to get people to watch something with a dub.
And just a personal preference, sometimes I enjoy a dub more because I want to focus on a lot of the art and the animation going on. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
background things that are just, maybe not the most important that you have to see, but it adds so much to the world and to the art style itself that I'd rather not be as bogged down with reading subtitles. And, everybody in this movie did a fantastic job as well. Like you're saying, they spend so much to get the most professional professionals. It's worth checking out. It's on HBO. They're all on HBO Max. So if you got a couple hours and you just want to throw on something that'll delight you, Howl's Moving Castle.
100%.
What do you got this week, man?
Oh, Seamus, you already know.
I knew one of us was gonna do it.
And I appreciate your how gracious you were to let me be the one to take it. Now streaming in high definition on Amazon Prime Video, James Cameron's The Abyss, a film I have wanted to see for at least a decade. And you and I were very excited to learn that they had put this film in high definition on Amazon Prime. It was very, very difficult to find. There's not an official Blu-ray release. And you and I decided to check this one out together. Ed Harris, he's kicking it at the bottom of the ocean. Michael Biehn is there. It's all,
yes,
all the
he
Cameron staples. I was not disappointed. I'd been hyping myself up for this movie for a long, long time. Really wanted to see it. I'd seen some of the more iconic visual effects shots, the early CG shots, the practical tank shots. Was blown away, and I'm really glad I waited to see it in HD. And I'm glad we got to go on that experience together, Seamus.
Oh yeah, man. That same boat as you. Just heard about it for so long. Always wanted to see it, and I was less aware of the how hard it was to get your hands on, and so it was just a blast to watch that. It was like one of those extraterrestrial or whatever terrestrial movies that rises above that kind of standard like UFO alien invasion kind of bring me to your leader vibe, and it was really good. I totally agree.
And I feel like if you haven't seen this film, which if you're under the age of 30, you probably haven't, I feel like just based on the availability of it on home video,
Yeah.
I strongly recommend going and checking this out, especially if you like the other work of James Cameron, Aliens, Terminator, Titanic. Learn nothing about it. Just go watch it. Like, there's a reason I'm being so vague right now. And that's because I really think that it's not Cameron's best film or anything like that, but it's certainly an experience that's worth having going in blind.
Definitely. A very unique kind of movie, and I think you're right. Just pull the trigger and be happy with what you get. because it definitely is a very fun ride.
And it's very possible we'll end up covering that for the show, I think. We kind of kicked that around even this week as a last-minute replacement for Shang-Chi, so...
You've told me legend of some kind of director's cut that's out there somewhere. I wouldn't mind even a revisit, too.
I'm trying to get my hands on that DVD, Seamus. We'll get there soon enough.
Hell yeah, man, I'm in.
But that wraps us up for this week's episode of Pop Culture Reference. If you want to reach the show, you can tweet us at PCR_podcast. Find us at that same handle on Instagram and TikTok. Email us at popculturereferencepod@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review or a like or a rating wherever you're listening to this show. Next week, we're going to be talking about the new Mary Elizabeth Winstead action film, Kate, which I believe is coming to Netflix.
Ooh, can't wait. I I love her. She's just glorious in everything, and this will be a fun action movie ride.
Absolutely. I'm excited. Again, a movie I know almost nothing about, but we needed something for next week, and that movie was coming out, so we were like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, we both like her. We both like gun action stuff. It's gonna be perfect.
All right, but we will see you next week.
Adios, amigos.